I think my favorite thing to see is how many casual fans will always call a defensive tackle a bust after 1 year, seemingly no matter what, just because, you know, A, it's hard to really notice what they're doing too much. They don't get too many stats often. And also, usually it does take a defensive tackle a couple of years to really get their footing to begin with. In fact, the only player I can really remember that actually was playing pretty well their rookie season as a defensive tackle in recent memory was Deron Payne. Since then, I think in terms of, high draft pick defensive tackles, he's the only guy I can really think of. And before that, I think you have to go all the way back to Aaron Donald, which is, 2014. And also, he's just another animal. Typically, defensive tackles don't exactly burst onto the scenes. I mean, even look at Payne. That year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafted Vita Vea, one pick before him, and they were mocked that season because he didn't have as good of a rookie season, but now Vea has largely outplayed Payne. My point in bringing all of this up is mostly just to show that, listen, let's not freak out over 1 year that he only had 2 sacks, and he actually played pretty well. I think you could honestly make the argument that Wilkins was the second best rookie defensive tackle since Aaron Donald. I think you could really make that argument. I thought he played pretty well, but that being said, he had his significant negatives as well. I thought that he was very hit or miss his rookie season. He did some things very well. He did some things that made it very clear he's a rookie. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about is the positives and negatives and what he has to do if he's going to make sure that he is not a bust, but instead a very good player. The first real negative I have in his game is going to be shown on this play, where what's going to happen is that really he's going to get surprised at the line. What's going to happen is there's going to be a double team right next to him, and he's the one in that black shape right there where he's going up one-on-one, but he's not expecting him to be going up against a tackle right here. He's expecting probably a guard to be the one who's blocking him, so he's going to be a little bit surprised by this. And because of the surprise, watch how well that tackle is going to be able to move him out of the way. And again, because of the double team right next to him, this creates a clear gap. Maybe not a gap for a ton of yards, but this was actually a 4th down and 1. So, the Bills didn't need a ton of yards, and they're able to pick up that 1 yard that they needed. And who knows? I mean, if Wilkins didn't get fooled at the line like that and didn't get pushed so far out of the way, maybe he makes a stop and they don't give up that 1st down. So that's a crucial mistake to make. It really is. This one's another example where, again, it's going to be a tackle blocking him. Typically, you expect that the tackles are blocking an edge rusher. So if you're someone who's a, interior defensive lineman, you're not expecting that to happen, really. And so, again, when it does happen, he's definitely surprised. And with the double team, he gets even more surprised and gets knocked out of the way. But this is not a negative play from him. I mean, for one thing, I thought he did a better job on this one than he did on the last one. The last one was a very bad job. But also, he's in an okay position, but he's definitely getting taken out of the way to some degree. But what is he going to do? Watch how he kind of just throws his body out there, which A, helps make the tackle, but B, you see a flag get thrown in there at the end. It drew a holding penalty. So him being able to just sort of throw his body out like that, that's not easy to do. It takes a lot of agility to pull that off. And really, that's where Wilkins shines. I mean, you think, okay, I got it. He's this 315-pound guy. He's obviously one of those big guys that's hard to move. That's not exactly what his job is in a lot of ways. What his job really is more so is just he's the kind of guy who can be agile and use his footwork to get around people. That's kind of why he was such a high draft pick. It wasn't really his size too much. In fact, I would even argue that he actually plays small despite his huge size. He definitely plays small. This is an example of it where what's going to happen is that he's going up one-on-one against a guard. It's going to be a play-action pass, so that's what he's going to do is try to rush the passer once he realizes what's going on. And so what's going to happen right when this ball is snapped is that there's the hand placement is a little bit interesting. He is the one who initiated the hand placement, which means that he can kind of try and do whatever he wants right here. He has his left arm on that Bills player's right shoulder, so then the Bills player, he has to put his right arm lower than Wilkins. And there's several things you could do, but what he is going to do is then kind of just push off with his right arm and try to get to the outside, and it works. He's able to generate some pressure. I mean, again, he didn't quite get there in time, but you can't really hold that against him. The ball sometimes gets thrown quicker, sometimes it takes longer. You should really just look at what moves did he make, and I thought that was a pretty good move. And to be honest, his pass rush as a whole it's not great. I mean, his pass rush is not fantastic. but he did make a couple of moves, and it gives you some hope that potentially he can hold his own. And, for someone like him, I think really what you want is you want him to just hold his own in the passing game, so that way he can stay out there for, any down, and then he can really help you when he's trying to stop the run. Speaking of pass rush, though, I want to show this play because this is a good example of just something he did poorly way too often, where this is the play, so there's 5 Dolphins on the line, but 2 are going to drop back into coverage, so it's actually just going to be a 3-man rush, and you see with the circle, that's Wilkins on this play, obviously. And so, hey, he's probably going to go up one-on-one against the center. Yes, both guards are going to have to look for somebody else to hit, but hey, at the beginning of this play, he is going to be one-on-one against the center, and actually, spoiler alert, he's going to end up being one-on-one against the center for the entire play. So, pretty good situation for him, right? I mean, this is kind of what you dream of as a defensive lineman. However, not only is he not able to win his matchup, he's not really able to move the center back too much, and Brady had time to make a throw, and I think that even if Brady took a little bit longer to make that throw, Wilkins still wasn't going to get there. And you could say this is just one example, but this is actually something I saw a good amount. He had several opportunities to go one-on-one against the center. That's something that Flores and this defense, they like to be aggressive like that. They like to have 5 guys on the line. They like to run some 3-4 and get the 5 guys on the line, which creates a lot of one-on-one matchups with centers, which obviously it's difficult to make that block because you have to get your hands up after snapping the ball. And so it can be a good situation for a defense. And it's stuff like this that kind of just makes me think, in this Dolphins system, I don't think he's a nose tackle. I don't think he's a zero tech guy. I just don't, because he can't really rush the passer against those centers like that. One thing that I think he can do very well is take away 2 gaps at one time, or 2 gap, where this play is a good example where he's going to be going up one-on-one against a right tackle. So again, maybe a bit of a surprise of who's going to be blocking him. There's also a double team right next to him. So you think that the run could come in his direction. And after the ball is snapped, notice how he's doing a good job of staying really perfectly in the middle there of, he knows the halfback doesn't want to cut too far backwards because there's an unblocked man to his left and also to our left. But also there's not really enough room to the right where he can try to cut through there. He's doing a great job of taking away both of those gaps and really forcing the halfback to have to find something else. And when he does try to do that, he's even going to run over, and Wilkins is going to be the one who makes the tackle here. That is honestly really where he thrives the most, I think, is him being able to move over like that and be able to, stop the run and also 2-gap like that. I think that's where he really is a big benefit to Miami. I think he had some really good plays in stopping the run with Miami, and I think that's where he thrives. And that's kind of why I said earlier, I think that keeping him out there and just sort of having him, teach him to be just solid in pass rush, then he can be good, and then just let him thrive as a run stopper, which I think is where he's really good at. Again, I think the counter argument to that is like, well, we drafted him 13th overall to be a star defensive tackle, not a good defensive tackle, and so far he might not even be considered a good defensive tackle. He's probably a fine defensive tackle, which is still impressive for a rookie. But at the same time, I think that it's like, well, we got to make him good before he can be great. You got to just figure out how to use him to his best ability, and then hopefully he just sort of grows into being the monster that we know he has the potential to be. Some positions you draft a rookie and they're able to just burst onto the scenes and be great. Wide receivers can do that. Of course, running backs can do that. In some positions, it takes some time, and especially a defensive tackle, that's probably one of the biggest ones. Obviously, quarterback, and I would throw tight ends in there as well. But really, defensive tackle, I mean, it takes time to be good, typically. Usually, you have to, I do kind of feel like it's a kind of position, you shouldn't really judge a guy on their rookie year too much. I mean, he definitely had some rookie mistakes. This one was just a horrendous play where it's probably the worst twist I saw all season. What's going to happen is that you're going to see that Wilkins is going up, he's lined up with a center, and they're going to do a twist, so he runs over to a guard, and then 48, he's going to run over to the center. But typically what you do is, you want to get people out of position. That's the whole point of why you're doing something like this. Also, it's 49, not 48. I misread the number. But anyways, so what you typically expect is that, maybe Wilkins will run sort of into the center. You allow 49 to run through, or maybe the other way around. But instead, maybe they just weren't on the same page or what, but they both kind of just swapped sides, almost like they're square dancing right there and switching partners. And there's really no value to that whatsoever. Just a poorly executed play and something that you hope that Wilkins will get better at, because that was not good by any means. So again, there were some rookie mistakes for sure, but you expect that, and especially when you're a bad team, you kind of don't care. You just want them to get the reps in and get better at certain things, and I think he will. I think he'll be a pretty good player. I was pretty high on him coming into the draft. I still think he's very good. The reality is, there's very little times that a defensive tackle isn't considered a bust after the rookie season. They almost always are by some people. People will say he only got 2 sacks, he sucks, and it's like that's not how this works whatsoever. I thought he played pretty well, to be honest. What do you guys think? Did you guys like how he played, or do you think that he needs to improve the pass rush before he can be really worth that 13th overall pick? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.